Strategically, the U.S. Articulated a counter-drug and anti-criminal justification for the kind of kinetic action that they've taken against Venezuelan targets in the last couple of months. And this is now culminated in the capture of the president of the country, Nicolas Maduro, in what we would refer to as regime change. Now, legally, this kind of military operation sits outside of clear international law paradigms that govern the use of force, raising questions, constitutional questions within the U.S. context, and also at the international law level, presenting clear sovereignty disputes, if you like. Then at the regional level, this kind of military intervention risks destabilizing a fragile the fragile political balances that we have in Latin America, because it erodes, trust among neighbors and provokes broader diplomatic backlash, even though one can argue that Nicolas Maduro was not a very popular president in Latin America, especially after the last election that is stolen in 2024. And then normatively speaking, and this is important for those of us that study international relations, this U.S. military action, like the one they did over 30 years ago against Noriega of Panama, it challenges established post-1995 restraint on unilateral military action or coercion, and poses implications for interstate relations and conflict resolution globally. So overall, in my view, this is a military invasion of a sovereign country by another, and it is illegal as it contravenes both international and U.S. domestic law. So on the U.S. side, for example, the U.S. Constitution makes it compulsory for a U.S. president to abide by international law instruments such as the UN Charter and then the Convention on Human and Political Rights. And then also the role of Congress in authorizing such a military invasion was bypassed. However, when one considers the responsibility to protect doctrine and the relief that this will bring for majority of Venezuelans, as including its over 10 million in the diaspora, there can be a case that the U.S. and full sympathizers to these kinds of intervention can make. But the normative question remains, how do you resolve an illegality with another illegality? We have seen this pattern in the strikes against Iran and other countries since Trump came to power just under a year ago now. And all of them mark a departure from the post-World War II U.S. pattern of privileging coalition action, diplomatic engagement, and following international legal frameworks. Now, instead, what we are seeing a reflection of an assertive, personalized and power-projected foreign policy approach that would have lasting implications for, regional stability in Latin America, and then also international norms that govern sovereignty and the future role of U.S. military engagements in the Americas and beyond. And you see the clear evidence of this kind of personalized power projection-oriented foreign policy by just listening to President Trump's address to Americans. And African states that have tense relations with the United States should be concerned at the level of strategic prudence, not necessarily as an imminent threat, for them. The military invasion of Venezuela and the abduction of its president does signal a lower tolerance for adversarial government and a broader box of coercive options that the U.S. can take against any country, including those that they don't agree with in Africa.